What's up, my fellow Michiganians, Michiganders, whatever you happen to call yourselves? Welcome to Wolverine State Sports Talk. So, I know I haven't made too many Michigan videos so far, and the truth is, the season just hasn't been very interesting yet. We've played a lot of inferior competition, taking care of business. Some people are concerned about the inferior competition, but I think last year proved that we'll be ready for big games once they come. And we have a long time before we play a team, I think, that's on our level. So, I think we should be able to get to 10-0 before we get to Penn State, or 9-0. Yeah, it would be 9-0. And then 3 tough games after that, but I think we'll be ready. I think this team has proven they can be ready. So really there hasn't been a whole lot to talk about other than maybe the team hasn't looked quite as good as we were hoping, but at the same time we understand it takes some time to get to midseason form. But I think the biggest storyline right now has got to be Donovan Edwards. So Edwards almost ran for 1,000 yards last year, was excellent in the Ohio State game. Really did a nice job taking over for Corum. But he struggled so far this year. I haven't quite looked at his stats. I wouldn't be surprised if he hasn't reached 100 yards on the season. I don't think he has. I think his longest run of the year is 7 yards, and he's constantly getting stuffed at the line. Now, a part of that is due to bad luck, but a part of it is also due to the fact that he's not reading the holes very well. And he also had an off-season injury. So he missed a lot of practice time, and he might be getting acclimated again. But I had a thought about Edwards. And listen, I'm not a coach, I'm not an insider, and this opinion might be a complete clown opinion, and it might carry no weight. But I want to hear what you guys think about it. And I wonder if Jim Harbaugh is considering this as well. I think that they should move Donovan Edwards to the slot. No more lining up in the backfield. You're a slot receiver now. Because if we're being honest about Edwards, and this is not saying that Edwards is a bad football player. Edwards is a phenomenal football player. It's just that his skill set, I think, is better served at the slot than in the backfield. Let me explain. If you look at Donovan Edwards last year, a lot of his runs came on big, huge runs when the holes were wide open. I'm not discrediting him. Obviously, you have to have the speed to get away from defenders, which he did. That's the thing about Ohio State, He had those 2 huge holes. He ran right through them for a touchdown. A lot of running backs would have gotten caught at the 30, maybe even the 20, but Edwards was able to finish the run because he's very fast. However, it didn't really display his ability to read holes or have great vision. He just followed the hole that was there and went. You watch other Michigan running backs like Blake Corum, Hassan Haskins. They were really, really good at getting yards after contact. They were really good at finding the other holes when it wasn't there. They had great vision. And the truth is about Edwards, even when he had a great year last year, most of those came on big runs when the hole was big and available. But a lot of the other runs too, it was a lot of no yards, 1 yards. A lot of times I thought he had a chance to get more yards after contact and just didn't do it. And what this simply means is it's not his strength. And that's totally fine. The fact is, Edwards is at his best, I think, in a pass-catching role. He has an excellent set of hands, and obviously his speed is a nightmare for linebackers. The fact is, he did great work last year as a receiver. You look at the Michigan State game last year, he had a couple of big 20-yard receptions when the receivers couldn't get open at all. The thing is, going into the season, you think, all right, we have Blake Corum, but who else do we have at running back? So I think that's why, early in the year it makes sense sticking him at running back. But now I think we actually have an option. I think that Kalel Mullings has the potential to be a better running back than Donovan Edwards. Don't get it twisted. Edwards is the faster guy, but Kalel Mullings has more of the build and more of the profile to be a great running back in this offense. This offense, it requires you to be able to get yards after contact. It requires you to follow the holes, because when you run the football a lot and teams load the box, sometimes you just got to lower your shoulders and get 2 or 3 extra yards, especially in this day and age where the clock is not stopping anymore after first downs. You need a big, powerful bruiser. And I think Kalel Mullings beefed up this offseason, which was perfect for us. So now you got Corum, who's a yak king. And then you got Kalel Mullings, who, after making a couple of nice runs against Rutgers, I think we're going to see an increased role for him. It's kind of funny we saw him returning kickoffs as well. So obviously the dude has some speed. But he's a big, big guy, and that's what we need. We need a bruiser down by the goal line. He struggled in that role last year, but I think he's actually starting to get comfortable with it. So what I do is I'd have those two taking the majority of the handoffs. And obviously, you can use Edwards to take handoffs as a wrinkle, but the fact is, Edwards is not going to be a guy that gets tons of yards on his own. Now, if he has a chance with open field, he's going to break it. But at the same time, I think you get more of those opportunities when you play at a receiver position. You know, I think he's more the kind of guy that can catch short passes and even run outside the tackles than run in between the tackles. I think it'll utilize his ability a lot better. You know, he's a game breaker when he gets the ball in open space, but when he's got defenders around him, he has a hard time getting those extra yards or finding another hole. Like, oftentimes when you see Corum run, the hole isn't there at first, but he does a great job either just lowering his head, getting a couple extra yards, falling forward like Mike Hart used to do, or bouncing it outside. Hassan Haskins was brilliant as a running back. I'd never seen a running back with amazing vision like Haskins. And I think that they're hoping that Kalel Mullings could have that kind of role that Haskins had, you know, switching from linebacker to running back, being kind of a bruiser. So yeah, I personally think they should move Donovan Edwards to the slot and rely on Corum, Mullings, and maybe even C.J. Stokes in the backfield. I think that would be the better move for this offense. Now, I could be completely wrong, and maybe Edwards, as the season goes along, reads the holes a lot better. But I think just based off the game film that I've watched so far this year, and even watching last year, I think a slot receiver position is the perfect role for Edwards. Especially since he can make those one-handed catches. Those are pretty impressive. So what exactly do you guys think? I know it would be a pretty big shift from what we were thinking. I just think it's the best way to utilize his talents. I think it'd be better for him, it'd be better for the offense, and I think it'd give Kalel Mullings a chance to really get rolling by the time, you know, we play those big games. You know, we're going to need a bruiser. And we haven't had that in a while since, you know, Ben Mason graduated, even Haskins graduating. I think that would be the best move for this offense. All right, thank you all for watching. Go Blue, and have a good rest of your day. Let's beat those Huskers.